Welcome to Search for Signs. My name is Gary Willing. If this information interests you, please press the like and subscribe button and press the bell for notifications. Now, when you talk about, when a person talks about this story, there's a lot to this story, and it's difficult to kind of keep it confined to one topic, for at least for me, when I'm talking on these little 10-minute videos or so. But at the same time, when you look at the whole subject of the reappearance of the Christ, I look at it like two wheels in the same cart. Now, Maitreya likes to use that term when talking about the economy, for instance. He says that in the economy of the future, we'll have the best of socialism and the best of capitalism. He says it's like two wheels in the same cart. Now, in this situation, I'm not actually talking about that. I'm talking more about, on one wheel, on that cart of the reappearance of the Christ, you have Maitreya and the masters coming out into the world, right? The other wheel is the mounting evidence of UFO activity that's been going on in and around the world, in every country. And so you can't really talk about one without the other because of the fact that they are linked. And as Maitreya comes out more and more and more and eventually becomes known for who he is and is giving the advice directly to our world leaders and to us as a whole, as a humanity as a whole, of course he'll start to talk more and more about UFOs and their functions and why they're here and that they're here to help. And without exception, esoterically, without exception, anytime somebody talks about animal mutilation or being abducted or something, there's no truth to it at all whatsoever. And it's all in their own imagination. And anytime somebody talks about UFOs taking over or, enslaving humanity or whatever it is, there's no truth to it whatsoever. They've always been here to help. And I've been one to kind of say that time is the judge. Whether you believe Benjamin Creme or George Adamski is one thing, right? I do. I seem to, what they've written down in their books really resonates with me as truth. But let's say it doesn't for you. What I've been postulating in these videos is that time is the judge of these space brothers, because there's been evidence of UFO activity for decades and decades and decades, if not longer than that. But let's just say it really got ramped up right after World War II, and it has not seemed to really stop, and it's actually seemed to increase, whether it's crop circles or claims of meeting these people or seeing their ships fly in the sky or strange lights in the sky or even the Norwegian spiral or something like this. As dramatic as it is, and has been, the fact that we've seen these for decades and yet no one's ever taken us over and enslaved us or whatever like this, I think time is the judge that they're not here to harm us. And I've seen UFOs a few times, not as many times as other people might have seen or something like this. And I don't have any videos of them, unfortunately, because at the times that I've seen them, I didn't have my phone handy, or I didn't have a phone, because I wish I did. Maybe in the future I'll be able to snapshot a few of them, or take videos. I actually took a video of what I think was one of them when my wife was taking a live photo. But for the most part, I haven't really taken anything that's really super duper dramatic. But the thing of it is that according to esotericism, these space brothers have always been in and around the world here helping humanity forward through some of our most desperate times. And today is no exception. We're kind of up against the wall in a lot of ways, and in the main, I think the spaceships themselves are here helping us clean up our atmosphere as much as possible. Now, according to Benjamin Creme and according to George Adamski, who have claimed to have had, personal contacts with these space brothers, where they actually met them face to face, claimed that they're here helping to clean up our atmosphere from of the pollution that we're emitting every day into our atmosphere. But they also claimed that these space brothers came from no farther than our nearest planets, really. Now, most of the UFO activity and these space brothers are coming from Mars, and then probably right after that is maybe Venus and maybe Jupiter or Saturn or something like this. But for the most part, it's from Mars and from Venus. Now, according to Benjamin Creme, the majority of the ships that we see are built on Mars, but are given to those Venusians or those people who live on Saturn or Jupiter or whatever, but they're built on Mars. So I like to jokingly say Mars is like China. I wonder if the spaceships say made on Mars. Fetch it in Mars. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. But when talking about, like I said, when talking about the reappearance of the Christ, you can't help but talk about the Space Brothers because it's such a huge event. Now, if you were to go to Mars or go to Venus or go to Saturn or go to Jupiter or any of these other planets, of course you wouldn't see anybody. Now, I know that sounds like a cop-out, like, oh, well, then you can't prove it. Well, what esoteric science is postulating and what scientists are going to eventually discover is that there's more to physicality than solid, liquid, and gas. There's actually 4 other levels, which makes a total of 7, because 7 is a universal number out there. But above gas is 4 levels of what are called the etheric. Now, it was proven, the lowest level of the etheric was proven by a gentleman named Wilhelm Reich, and when he discovered the orgone, and he said there was an energy that was around every physical thing. And like I said, he called it the orgone, and he invented a device called the orgone accumulator. But that was as far as he took it. So he saw it as one plane, but esoterically there's 4 planes of it. So when you go to Mars, of course, all you see is a bunch of rocks and maybe a little bit of snow made out of methane. But esoterically, if you were able to see them etherically, you would see huge cities and over 9 billion Martians living on Mars. But when we go there now, when we send our probes over there now, of course, we don't see anything. Same thing with Mars. Now, there's not as many people living, Venus. There's not as many people living on Venus as there are on Mars, but they are on the higher levels of the etheric too. So when we see these spaceships, which there's evidence of these spaceships, whether it's military pilots, commercial pilots, everyday people that see these things or whatever like this, or videos you see on YouTube, anytime a spaceship wants to be seen, all they do is they lower the vibration so you can see them. And then when they don't want to be seen, they simply raise the vibration and it disappears. I remember looking up in the sky one day and I saw this triangle in the sky. It looked larger than a plane that would have been maybe, 10,000 feet up or so, but it was bigger than that, but it was pewter looking. It would look like, the color of pewter, like a kind of a darkish kind of lead color, but it was in the shape of a triangle and it reflected the sun. I could see the reflection of the sun on it. And all of a sudden, for some reason, I just looked up at the sky and not too long after I saw it, and then it disappeared. So what they did was they lowered the vibration so I could see it, and then when they didn't want to be seen anymore, they simply raised the vibration. So it makes it look like they disappear, but they're still there. So if I had etheric vision, I could see it flying in the atmosphere, but I don't have etheric vision, so it looked like they disappeared to me, Now, typically what happens is when they appear to someone, especially if they start to pick up on the fact that they're getting scared, that's when they just disappear all of a sudden too. Now, I wasn't scared when I saw it. I just saw it and I was like, oh, look at that. And I've seen UFOs, like I said, several times. And according to Benjamin Creme, they're everywhere. If you had etheric vision, you would see hundreds, maybe thousands of UFOs in our skies all the time. Now, I think part of the problem for people recognizing a lot of this stuff is we have a lot of planes flying in our skies. And I remember, a little side note, I was talking to a friend of mine from New York, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of planes flying over here by the Atlanta airport. And she didn't know much about the Atlanta airport, but she said that it was she goes, yeah, a lot of regional airports can get busy from time to time. I was like, what are you talking about? The Atlanta airport's the busiest airport in the world. She didn't get it, but it's actually busier than Atlanta, LaGuardia, Newark, and JFK combined. But anyway, it's hard to see these spacecraft a lot of times because of the planes that we have. So if we didn't have the planes flying in the sky and we saw these lights, it'd probably be a lot easier to see. But so we might confuse a plane for a UFO or vice versa or something like this. But like things like crop circles appearing in farm fields, especially in England and so forth, and in England and the United States and around the world, Europe and stuff like this. Again, is just evidence and more evidence that these space brothers are here. Now, again, Maitreya is going to tell us when we see him on TV talking about these things, he's going to be the one that's going to really publicly introduce us to the fact that these UFOs are real. And the main thing that he's going to be telling you, oh yes, there are brothers. They've been here helping us all along. And I'm sure a lot of people will believe it. Some people won't, but most people will trust Maitreya when he's out openly in the world, knowing the fact that they've started to see some of the positive changes of sharing that he's suggested and so forth. But, when he says it, it's going to have a lot more weight. And then, but again, the relationship between our humanity and the humanity of these brothers from the star, or not from the stars, but from other planets, will only get deeper and deeper and deeper over time. And eventually, according to the masters, they're going to give us a lot more of their technology, especially the technology of light, where we power our cities, where it'll be free for everybody to use that electricity, that energy and so forth. The ships that we power, the ways we port ourselves from one planet to, or part of the planet to the other, will be based on this technology of light. The way that most of our medicine and organ transplants will be based on the technology of light. So it's only going to get deeper and deeper and deeper. And then eventually they'll, I'm sure, teach us a lot of what they know about the universe and about us and our solar system. They'll be teaching us in the same way that the masters will in the future. And as always, take action. Help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos. Have a great day.